Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Yacht Crew Vlogs right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I am your host, and today I am joined by Evelien van Vliet from the New Zealand Sailing Trust, obviously in New Zealand. How are you, Evelien?
I'm very well, thank you, Ria. Thanks for having me.
No, it's great. I mean, I have had the pleasure of interviewing a few of the people that work with the New Zealand Sailing Trust. And it's like I say every time, sailors are a breed unto themselves, and it's absolutely a fascinating conversation every time I have one. You are the business and program development manager or director?
Manager, yeah. Call me director, but it's probably a bit above my pay scale.
But before we get into what it is that you do for the New Zealand Sailing Trust, I wanted to find out a little bit about Evelien. Where are you from, and what got you into sailing in the first place?
So yeah, my name is Evelien van Vliet, and if you look at the spelling, it is Dutch. So I was actually born in Holland, but from a very young age, moved with my parents to New Zealand, and they were sailors. Dutch people are typically water people. Although when we moved to New Zealand, we were pretty much landlocked. We lived in a city called Hamilton, and yeah, grew up so very much on the water, but not so much around sailing, but always knew that it was close to my heart, really. And I moved to overseas for a time in my life. It was a transient New Zealanders. Everyone will know a New Zealander or bumped into New Zealanders in the weirdest places. So that was 6.5 years of my life, actually, and I worked for a tour company, Top Deck Travel, so a lot of people may know the coach tours around Europe. So that was fantastic and real fun part of my life, and that sort of transient nature and Kiwis on their overseas experience. Yeah, it was a great time. So coming home to New Zealand, I had to live in the city of sails in Auckland. Nothing else really appealed so much. So very glad I did. I started sitting on the rail on a Vliet 1020, which is a 10.2 meter, 34-foot yacht, and started my, I wouldn't say racing career, not so much a career, but starting to race and learning about the ins and outs of sailing. And yeah, so I loved it because I felt the freedom and the independence of doing my own thing. And yeah, so I was with that crew for 8.5 years and changed crews. I did a bit of women's racing. I did a bit of two-handed coastal racing. So yeah, kind of developed myself and opened up my networks in that respect. I was also part of one of the yacht clubs here, local yacht clubs called the Richmond Yacht Club here in Auckland. So yeah, really enjoyed the social aspect, but as you say, a real breed of sailors, and yeah, really felt I had found something that in my life that was, yeah, exciting and always something new. You could always go out in the harbour, but every day is so different, and that's what I love about it. So yeah, now not so much a sailor, I'm more of a cruiser. My partner and our young boy, we are part owner of a 43-foot Veneto, and we love it. We'll go away every third weekend and really miss a weekend, although this COVID-19 lockdown, respect yes, landlocked.
Well, and I find that really interesting because, I mean, you know, self-isolation. I mean, you can't get any more self-isolated than on a sailing boat in the middle of the harbor or out at sea. I mean, really.
That's right. And that did cross our mind. And for some people, they did go out on their boats. But it was advised by the government not to go because you're putting, if you needed to be rescued, you're putting rescuers at risk. And so I kind of get that, as much as you kind of think nothing's going to happen to us. Nothing's ever happened to us. It's that one time, or that, yeah. So, and also you're putting other, I guess we didn't know much about the COVID-19 at that point, but you're putting other islands that we may have visited at risk, potentially. I mean, we obviously weren't carrying it. We know that now, but you didn't at that stage. And to provision the boat while you're out and that kind of thing would have been challenging. Some people did it. Good on them.
Well, you know what I mean? I think there was quite a few stories, actually, not just sailors as well, but there was some famous guy that tweeted from, he was in the Grenadines, from his mega yacht, how we were all in this together. And I think since then he's had to delete his entire Instagram account because he started getting roasted by the rest of the world. But I think a lot of people did have that idea to head out to sea and self-isolate there. I can imagine if the sea is your life, being landlocked would kill you.
And certainly people who lived on their boats had that privilege to do that. And we know, a fair few of them did just go out into the water and anchor off, but they were encouraged to stay in one place.
Right. Well, and it does make sense. It does make sense for the reasons that you did already mention. Tell me what got you into the New Zealand Sailing Trust then.
Funny enough, it was on social media or on a Facebook ad. And I'm not a big social media person myself, but as I mentioned earlier, I worked for a coach tour company. And when I came back to New Zealand, I studied as a career counsellor, and soon after that worked in the education space. So with young people in high schools, I worked at University of Auckland for some time, but also got involved in helping students with recruitment and sort of getting a job post getting their degree. So that was fascinating. So really building relationships and I guess that liaising between employers and students, organising events, kind of gave me a really good foundation to sort of come into this role as a business development manager. So the business development manager and program manager is about developing business, I guess. Put it really simply, getting our bums on seats.
Well, that's exactly it.
Yeah, that's right. So really transferable. My experience was really transferable from the coach tour times to working with students, being in the education space, understanding schools, having worked in education. So yeah, it's been a fantastic time. And when I saw the ad, bringing sailing and the education and everything I just talked about together, and for an organisation that stands for something that I truly wholeheartedly believe in, why wouldn't you try it and go for the job? So, I'm grateful for the opportunity. It's been a challenging time during the COVID lockdown, but we've all put our heart on our sleeve, and if we didn't give it a go to ensure that the trust will move forward, yes, it's a difficult time, but we wouldn't have it any other way. We want young people to have the opportunity moving forward. So, yeah, we're all in it 100%.
What is it about sailing, you think, that teaches these kids skills for the rest of their lives?
Certainly on the big boats. And I see for our multi-day trips, or trips 3 days and over, we do a pre-evaluation on these students. That's around their teamwork, their leadership, their environmental factors, and a number, about 10 factors we assess. And then we do the same questionnaire at the end. And the feedback is really around time management, teamwork, but getting to know their peers. And so sailing aside, it's they challenge themselves every single day, and they need to work with each other to get from A to B, from from where they pick up anchor to where they drop anchor for the night. And they have to work together to get there and then make dinner, etc., etc. So some students are very comfortable once they come on board. Others aren't so much. Again, working with each other, being kind to each other and helping each other along. The students are put into watch systems. So three groups, 3 watches. And again, they have to work together to get those chores, I guess, not exactly the right word, but they all have their roles and responsibilities in each of those watch groups to get the operation moving and keep the boat clean, and to, again, get us fed and from A to B. So bringing the sailing aspect into it, there's so much to learn from it, from everything from the environment right through to physics and We do a lot of leadership curriculum on board, and we do risk management on board, and we do marine science on board, and biology, and mathematics. So there's a history in the geology of the islands and the places we go to. So it's never ending what students can learn and take from those kind of opportunities.
Well, it sounds like a lot of the students that you do have on board aren't given the opportunity to be at sea this way, and aren't given the opportunity to have that freedom, to be able to be in a space, an open space that is silent and beautiful and stunning and natural. And that's what this does.
Yeah, and the just exhilaration of being at anchor away from the city, and jumping off the boat to go swimming, is a wonderful thing. What they see and experience on shore, we have some lead exercises on shore, team building. They have to build a raft on shore, and then paddle it out to the boat, which is at anchor. So we've seen a number of different looking rafts, and some have stayed together and some not so much. But it's again, it's those opportunities. And I believe, and I know many other people do, that the Hauraki Gulf here in Auckland is one of the best cruising places in the world. So there's a vast array of islands we can visit, our treasure islands, marine parks, wildlife parks. So yes, there's just accessibility to those opportunities that the students don't get. And New Zealand has so much coastline, yet students actually don't get the opportunity to sort of see it from that perspective.
I think that's probably the biggest problem with all of us, is that we never ever explore our own backyard, and it's such a shame.
Yeah.
I think it would also give us a lot more care for the environment if we did that as well. And we see what lockdown did to the planet when we were all, as humans, we're all locked at home. The planet in a very short period of time took over and wiped away probably 20 years of what we've done to it in those 3 weeks. And so it's good to teach people. And I think I'm really glad that you guys are taking, that opportunity to teach them about the environment and how they can change it and what they can, do for the future of it.
Yeah, we've recently launched this year, bit of a speed bump, but because of COVID. But this year we launched an environmental leadership program. So it's a minimum of 5 days. We take a marine biologist with us, and we do a plankton net drag, and we actually do a live mussel experiment that we take live mussels and take the water from the viaduct, which is where the boats are berthed in the middle of the city, and the students then see how live mussels can filter the water. And that just blows their minds. We take microscopes so they can see the organisms that come out of the sea, and that it's a living thing. And you're talking about the recovery of it. If we get a cut as humans, we recover quite quickly. But same with the environment. If they have the right opportunity and the balance is right, it obviously recovers quite quickly when it has a chance. So yeah, they can see that and really experience that. So yeah, we're excited to push that forward from here on into next year.
Well, tell me about the vessels that the kids go out on.
So the vessels, so New Zealand Sailing Trust own 2 boats significant to New Zealand sailing history, and Line New Zealand we purchased in 2008, and Line New Zealand was in the 1985-86 Whitbread Round the World campaign, which was skippered by Peter Blake and his team. That was Peter Blake's 4th attempt at the Whitbread. Prior to that Whitbread, Line New Zealand was entered in the Sydney Hobart race, which she came first, and which was wonderful and gave, I guess, the team a lot of enthusiasm and motivation that they would do quite well in the Whitbread. So coming second is still a great outcome, but it really motivated Peter Blake to put another campaign together, and a crew to then have Big Red. So Steinlager 2 was built, Ketch was built for the 1989 19 Whitbread Round the World race. Many people may remember this as Big Red won every single leg and the race overall, and that's something that hasn't been equal to this date. And
Nice.
yes, and so that's also part, I guess, of our programs, is teaching our students about the significance of Peter Blake as a New Zealander, as a role model, and as a leader. He was known as a fantastic leader. So students often write about that in their evaluations, of learning about that and understanding that. We show documentary about Peter Blake on the vessels in the evenings. So those students then appreciate that these boats went around the world, and just the conditions that they may have experienced whilst going around the world in the Southern Ocean. But then also sleeping in the bunks that these crew slept in, and making the meals on board, and then actually standing at the helm and feeling that freedom and that sense of power, empowerment, when they're actually behind the wheel and helming the boat as she's slicing through the water.
Well, you know what I mean? It sounds like you're giving them a true sense of country pride as well. It's because it's the history of the country. It's something that has definitely set New Zealand apart as in the sailing world and in the world in general. And these kids have the chance to really be part of that and experience that. And I think personally that would give them that extra desire to just be better, to be greater, to be more, to be all that they possibly can be.
That's right. And you talk about sailors, Kiwis and the success in sailing, but that goes anything from windsurfing right through to the ocean racing, and America's Cup is another obvious one which I'm excited about, and I'm excited to try and get young people on the water to watch the next America's Cup when it is here, whatever looks like.
Well, that has just been announced, actually. So that is a new sort of thing that's happening. And, I guess there's some mixed opinions out there about that happening, considering New Zealand is like the leader in the world in how they manage the crisis and everything that's gone on since. So I guess we'll see how that pans out. But we're here to talk about the Sailing Trust. So we won't get into the politics of the situation.
Many people would say that from the success of Big Red and the Steinlager 2 and the 89-90 Whitbread really was the start of building a team for New Zealand and the America's Cup following that, and the successes from then. So, it's been an instigator. It's not that New Zealand never would have been successful. There's, as we talked about, in any type of sailing, there's Kiwis involved. But yeah, as Peter Blake led the team then, and yeah, it's pretty exciting times.
Well, tell me, how can people help raise money and funds and raise awareness for the New Zealand Sailing Trust? Because the issue right now is that in the 3 months that the world kind of slowed down a little bit, you folks rely a lot on donations and fundraising, and nobody could go anywhere. So that fundraising wasn't possible. So you saw quite a dent into what you guys were able to do. How can people help you now?
Well, look, there's a number of ways, but I probably only talk to a couple of those. Certainly our website has so much more information that if you are more interested to go to our website, if it was as simple as giving a donation. But for me, it's about supporting our young people and supporting a school for a day, to get them out on the water, to have that opportunity to experience something that we offer would fill my heart. Certainly, if we had that kind of opportunity to help subsidise our students to come on these trips, would be absolutely amazing. We have, as I said, a number of campaigns and donation opportunities, but I think it's about the students to me, and that's, I guess, where my heart lies. And so to support New Zealanders to get out as often as possible, and that would be my number one. Our other I guess for New Zealand listeners, if you have any, we have a new program that we're launching in just over a week, is our domestic tourism package. So we have put together, we want all New Zealanders to have the opportunity, as much as 80% of our business is for young people. We're in a time where some people can't go overseas. We want to support New Zealanders as much as get them to support us. But we put together overnight packages and 3-day packages. So 2-day, 1 night, and 3-day, 2 nights. And so anyone who comes on one of those trips, there will be a donation put back towards our young people and the opportunity that they get to go on board.
Well, that's really exciting because, you know, it's like you said, we are all trying to come together, and the fact that they can go on the legacy of New Zealand sailing and really get that experience, and something that maybe they would not have had the chance to before. Many people, you know, would be flying overseas for a vacation this year. A lot of people are deciding to stay home because the airlines, you just don't know. Cruise ships, you definitely don't want. So the idea to go on a sailing yacht and to sort of learn the ropes, as it were, learn it from those that have that passion in their hearts for what it is that they do, that there's no better way.
And you don't have to be a sailor. It's purely designed for the adventure, for the sustainability factor, for the budget factor, and you know, going out to a region that people haven't experienced before. So we tick a lot of boxes in that sense, and so it's really exciting. And I'm sure our Australian and Pacific bubble will open at some point, and so we do invite people to join us if they can.
Wonderful. Well, you also have hashtag Pass the Bucket.
We do. And thank you for participating in passing the bucket. So we set up this campaign to, you know, have a bit of fun. And so I guess the premise or the concept of the idea is to have a bucket and throw a bucket at somebody, but tag somebody, and so that they encourage them to donate to the trust, but also to create their own video and pass the bucket and throw the bucket at somebody else with awards.
I was actually, when I did it, I was worried that the buckets were going to end up being pelted at me. So that, you know, thank goodness that didn't happen.
We had some
I think I dodged a bullet.
You know, it's for fun, and there's not so much, you know, about passing the bucket, but just getting people involved and doing something fun. And, you know, as you know, that it was so much fun doing the video, and yes, it's been really nice, and it's nice for people to support the trust to help keep us afloat. So, yeah, it's been fun. So it's on our website, passthebucket.gofundraise.com, co.nz. And so, yeah, it's fun, and absolutely we would love people to support us through that as well.
Well, you know what, we're going to make sure to put the website when this interview airs, and all the ways that people can donate. I would recommend definitely just going straight to the website, because you do have a few options there of how people can do their part. And it doesn't matter whether you're from New Zealand or not. I think if you're into sailing and you love sailing, this is just one of those things that I think naturally you would want to support. I mean, if everybody that listens to the station, or, you know, everybody that is on Facebook even donated $1, €1, £1, you'd be pretty okay for the next 10 years or so.
You know, it warms my heart. We've had donations from Denmark, from the UK, from Germany, from Canada. So, yeah, it's so nice that people are supporting us from around the world.
Well, I think what you're doing is extremely important. You know, taking youth that might not have the opportunity, that might end up, you know, being disenfranchised with life, as it were, if they didn't have this opportunity, and you're opening their eyes to something so much greater than what they ever would have imagined. And you're also, for me, what is really important is you're teaching them about the environment and how to take care about the environment around them. And for me, that is, you know, a win in every direction.
Absolutely. And that certainly was the legacy of Peter Blake. He loved the environment. It was super important to him. So, you know, we'd like to honour, you know, not only what they achieved with the vessels and Peter himself, but yeah, the environment, and it is really important. And the students learn so much about, that we get so much oxygen from the sea because it's a living organism, and yeah, it's exciting.
Well, thank you ever so much, Evelien, for coming on board here at Yachting International Radio. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for helping us spread the word. It's exciting to talk about the trust. We love talking about the trust, and doing this for our young people.
Well, you're welcome back anytime, and we'll have to do an update in a few months' time to see how the season has kicked up a little bit and how your idea of homegrown tourism turns out, and if you've had a lot of people that have taken advantage of it.
And passing the bucket.
Yeah, and passing the bucket. That's right. Send us your videos. And you know what? If you guys want to send me any videos you receive or you find, I would love to air them on Yachting International Radio as well. I mean, everyone's up for a good time and a good laugh. This is for a good cause. And you know what? We all need a laugh. So I would love to air those on my platforms for sure.
We'll do that.
Wonderful. Once again, you have been watching another edition of Yacht Crew Vlogs right here on Yachting International Radio. You have been listening to Evelien van Vliet from the New Zealand Sailing Trust, the Business and Program Development Manager. So definitely tune in for another episode. My name is Ria. I have been your host. Take care. Thank you.